Hey everybody, welcome back. How's it going? Francisco, Reimar, good to have you both here.
So great to see you.
What's up, everyone?
Awesome.
We are super pumped because today is the final day for you to submit your mobile Buildathon submission. We've seen a lot of great submissions so far. Reimar, you've been demoing or previewing a couple of builds that people have been submitting. I've been seeing a couple of good builds on socials, so really pumped about what you all are building.
Yeah, it's been super cool to see. I was just telling the team before when we were backstage before the live stream that the difference between the office, the co-build we did yesterday, Wednesday this week versus last week was like exponentially better, right? Like, so everyone took the feedback, everyone took like what other people were doing, and they were like, oh, I got to buckle down. And the apps this past week were like so much better, like the polish, the refinement, the usability. Like the first week it was like a little bit of, oh, what does this app do? The second one was like, wow, this is really cool. And so it's very interesting to see what people are building. There were games in there. There were like apps to help with teaching kids about chores and finances, productivity stuff. There's like all sorts of cool things that people are building. The VR game that we're going to see today. So it's just very, I mean, it's just very unique to be on the cutting edge of this stuff and see what people are building in mobile apps, folks that have never built mobile apps. So it's just like been a little surreal watching it, but yeah, it's cool to just dig in and see where I can't wait to see what the winner is going to be because it's going to be out of control.
Yeah, and speaking of which, we got a very special guest on today's show, one of our builders. This is someone you oftentimes see in the chat. We have Ruth Heasman that's going to be joining us a little bit later, but anything else that we want to talk about here at the top of the show, Francisco, about what people need to be doing to get those apps in and get their apps ready?
Yeah, no, absolutely. First of all, we're very excited, as Reimar pointed out. It's been amazing to see just the progress that we've been seeing over the past couple of weeks. And if anyone is aiming to submit, the last little reminder here is it's 11:59 p.m. Pacific time today, so we'll be closing off submissions at that point. I highly recommend, obviously, getting your a full App Store app would be amazing, but at the very least, a test flight link that we can test from. So that's at least the bare minimum requirement for submitting. We're very excited to see them. Another thing I just want to say is that social sharing is part of the criteria, right? We want people to kind of just showcase what's possible. We want to inspire other builders that maybe have never had a chance to build on their own before and can kind of see just how much easier it's gotten. We have so many stories in the Discord about people who like, I've had this idea for years. I've always been thinking about this. I just never had the technical expertise to do it. And now I can. And there's like, I can't remember the name of the individual was, but they built one app and then they built 5. Like they've been just kind of building out all these different apps. So please do share. This is a great opportunity to be able to get people to kind of go out and test. And Reimar has a very special, I don't know if it's a promo or a very special giveaway going on right now. You can share a little more about it, Reimar.
Yeah. For anybody who's out there, if you are in the Discord or a part of the Mobile Buildathon, there's a $50 incentive in Replit credits for sharing your post, tagging Replit, and just telling us a little bit about your story, what makes the app unique, sharing, some of the functionality, like just, make it uniquely yours, but share with us what you're building and let us know. There's instructions in the announcements channel inside the Discord. So this is only for folks who are eligible, who are actually participating in the Buildathon. And you can claim this even if you've claimed any of the other rewards that we've done. So we've done some other little things over time. But yeah, those instructions are on the Discord. We've seen some cool stuff coming in on socials, but it would be great to see and flood. Jordan, I know Walk is looking for a bunch of stuff. I know Amjad's been watching closely to see what people are building. So the team is watching this, right? Like folks are inside of Replit all over are watching this. And I know there's a lot of excitement for folks to see what you all have built. And not everyone's going to get a chance to go in the back end and see all the submissions. So yeah, share what you're building. And like Francisco said, it's part of the competition. It's a great way to stand out. If somebody finds your app, if Amjad finds it, if Jordan finds it, if one of us finds it and we really enjoy like what you're building, that's going to give a boost, right? It's like one of those things. Distribution is part of the game, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. Game on. Let's see what y'all do.
People are asking in the chat how they can submit their application. You have to sign up for the Buildathon. We'll drop a link to the Buildathon. And there's still time. I mean, you have to the end of today to get your app in. And then I think there's a portal in there, Reimar, that you go into and you submit everything that you need for the application.
mobile-buildathon.replit.app. If you want to go to that. And then, you'll need to be logged in. Obviously, we've gone over the different requirements. So you need an Apple developer account. There is a timeline for that. So if you don't have that in line up to this point, you may not be able to get approved in time. We're hearing different stories from folks. Sometimes it's taking longer than others. Some folks are getting approved in a day. Some folks it's taking a couple of days. Some folks it's taking a few weeks. And so, you need an Apple developer account. You need to submit for test flight. It needs to be a public testing, external testing, public test flight link. So again, you need to make sure when you go in that you have the right link. And then make sure you share with us on social and finish all the details in the submission portal, which includes a video and some other details. So check that mobile-buildathon.replit.app for all those details and to make sure you submit your app. And you'll also in there get the invite to the Discord, which will in the announcements channel, again, you can see how to claim your credits and everything else that's going on with the Buildathon.
Awesome.
Sunnyverse here is saying that he submitted it, but has made a ton of edits after. You can resubmit up until the deadline. Is that right, Reimar?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and even still, I guess you would change the test flight link that you would.
If you get a new build, you might end up with a new test flight link. So just be careful with that. I don't think you'll be able to make any updates after the midnight deadline, right? Francisco, is that portal's going to be locked after?
That's correct.
Yeah, and there won't be. I hear people already in the comments and in the Discord making they're pleading their case. Hey, I'm not going to get this done. My account is somehow Replit doesn't work just for me. It works for everyone else, but just so like there won't be any give on that, right? Like midnight, the thing's going to close. Somebody else is a timekeeper on that. It's locked up. It's like it's written in the prompt. You can't change it. So it's just over at midnight. There won't be. So just make sure you check the Buildathon. Get your links and don't miss this because trying to push too far to the edge here.
Absolutely. And so very excited to see the submissions come in. Also, just a general heads up, I like to say that before every stream, it will be recorded. So anyone that comes in late, you'll get a recording at the very end. We also send out an email that sends you the recording, as well as some of the Gluma resources that we typically pop up during the show. I will be personally in the chat for a little bit. So if you ever see Replit responding, that's usually me. So I'll be sending out a couple of links, resources, things that we're talking about during the live stream. But always here to kind of help. And I'm seeing a couple of different folks saying that they don't have access to Discord. Akil, I think I tagged you before. I haven't heard back, but I'll drop in my email, which I probably regret. If anyone has any issue with this Discord, let me know and I'll get you access today. But
it's all over for you now.
Exactly. But I'm very excited to help out however I can, and we're just thrilled to see your applications. And the reason we have the deadline is because we want to keep it fair for everyone, right? We want to make sure everyone has a fair chance to submit and be part of the competition. And again, the entire team internally is so excited about this. So, can't wait to see what you post. Be sure to tag Jordan if you're on X. He really wants to see all of the different, submissions that people get. But with that, I'll pass it over to Manny and Reimar.
Great.
Cool. All right. So we're going to talk to Ruth, and then we're going to come back and we're going to do Q&A, me and Reimar. So stick around for that if you have any other questions. But for now, I'm super pumped to be inviting our very special guest today, one of your very own. We have Ruth Heasman, who oftentimes you'll see in the chat, but is now joining us on the main stage. Everybody say hi to Ruth. Ruth is a designer turned builder. She's been building on Replit. I think she has 20 plus apps that she has built and published, and is now one of our top 0.1% master builders on the platform, which you can find out by checking out our new LinkedIn certification. If you haven't done that, go check that out. It's a great way to stand out. Ruth also joined our mobile Buildathon that we're wrapping up today, and she created a really cool game called SpookSeek AR. an augmented reality ghost hunting game that we're going to be featuring today on Friday the 13th, which I think is pretty fitting. So, hey, Ruth, say hi to everybody in the chat.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. So Ruth, first of all, talk to us about the game that you built. What is it? How did the idea come to you? What was your process? How did you end up building this game?
Okay. Essentially, I started off, I'd got a different app that I'd been working on called Vibe Glow Up, and I was gonna try and submit that, but I thought, no, it's not special enough. It's just not special enough. So the criteria I was using to decide what to build were that I wanted it to use all the kind of features of the phone, the camera, the accelerometer, whatever that's called, the gyroscope, the haptics, all of that stuff, and maybe to be an app that you perhaps couldn't do on anything but a phone. So that was sort of guided me, but also as a graphic designer, I really love Halloween and the Halloween aesthetic, and I knew I'd be engaged and excited to work on it, given the theme. And so I would sort of see it through, I guess. And I was really, really thrilled about Replit making the Buildathon, just for the purposes of forcing me to get an app onto the App Store, because honestly, I needed that push, I think. And it's not quite there yet. It's still in test flight, but I hope to get it on the App Store by next week.
Well, it's a really cool concept. Can you talk to us about your process? Like, because there's first of all, the app is pretty complicated. I haven't seen many folks do augmented reality. So how do you kick off something like this? Do you start from a design perspective? Do you start from like the technical parts that you have to build? Kind of walk us through your process.
Honestly,
here.
I'm really clueless, and I didn't know that it was going to be difficult. Which sounds stupid, but it's true. I start from a place of ignorance and work from there. I figured it was probably going to be a bit difficult, but I don't think I knew just kind of what I was letting myself in for, because Expo won't allow you to use AR kit, so you can't use the usual methods that you would use to create an AR game. And probably Test Flight allows it, but I don't think Expo does. So anyway, it's a very important step of the process because I needed to be able to test it. So I basically had to get the agent to build me like an entirely bespoke 3D system, which was part of the issues, honestly, because that wasn't all that easy. And then I ran into lots and lots of bugs and difficulties along the way, just trying to get the 3D models I was using kept sticking to the sides of the screen. They wouldn't go across the center, and my targeting system wouldn't work. And one of the main issues I came across actually was the difference between the dev app and the production app is vast. So the dev app is very forgiving and runs more slowly, apparently. And I've learned all this from the Replit agent, honestly. It's not like I'm well up on all this. And so basically you're having to code it for when it's on the phone, it's going to run a lot faster than the dev version of the app. And that causes all sorts of things to fail and break, but it breaks silently. So it doesn't give you any error feedback. So that was where I really hit a chasm. That was like in the middle of the build where I was like, oh my God, am I ever going to get this working? Because this works perfectly and this version doesn't work at all. And this is a nightmare. But as with all the builds that I've ever worked on, which is only since this last year, since Replit added the agent, before that, I really couldn't code a line, honestly. I mean, I've been a web designer for years, but I've not been a coder. But all the builds I've worked on, you do get to this point where you're thinking, oh God, shall I give up? But if you just keep pushing through and leverage the intelligence and the power of the agent, you can do really surprising stuff, Yeah.
That's amazing. And I like what you said earlier around starting with something that you have a lot of interest in, because you're gonna come up on roadblocks and problems. Yeah. And if you're not like passionate about the problem, you're gonna give up.
That's right. That's right. So I really liked the visual aspect of it. It's easy and fun to make cool graphics for it. I didn't want it to be like a horror game. I didn't want it to be exclusive. I wanted just like everybody to be able to play it really, or at least maybe age 12 up perhaps. And I wanted it to have lots of interactivity, so lots of sound. I had to go into Suno and 11 Labs and make a load of lines that the characters in the story version of it say, and lots of music and lots of sound effects. And I mean, the whole aspect, all of these aspects together were actually really fun to do. So I had a great time building it. I mean, it was difficult, but I had a great time. Yeah.
Well, so like you did the build, and it's pretty technically complicated, but it's also really nicely designed. How did you think about the design for this? Obviously, you're a graphic designer, artist, and so you have that. But I'm curious, like, did you start off with a sense of what it was going to look like beforehand, and you started feeding that into Agent early, or did you think about that later? And how did you refine that over time?
Yeah, no, I went through a lot of iterations actually. I started out with some quite realistic looking ghosts, and then I thought, no, I'm not actually into that. These look a bit severe. They're not kind of giving off the vibe that I wanted, which was just like, fun ghost hunt, not too serious, not too heavy. So I actually made several different versions of the ghosts before I kind of ended up with this batch. And then I decided, because I'm a bit of a Bitcoiner on the side, and I like NFTs, and I decided to make some cards up as well for the ghosts. So as you're collecting the ghosts, you get them appearing in a bestiary with some nice like holographic looking game cards. So, but all of that side of it, being a graphic designer, that's just fun to me. That's just joy. Like I don't find that hard. I find that fun. It's the coding stuff that is hard.
How did you get the 3D assets in the game? Is that like a separate process, and you like bring them in, or that seems kind of tricky to me?
So basically, I made JPEGs of the ghosts, and then I put them into a website that turns them into a 3D GLB model, which is kind of like a 3D spinnable object. And then I had to put them into the game, and I really wanted them to look translucent and glowing and ghostly. So I had to make a Fresnel shader. Everything in there is bespoke, weirdly. And one of the last aspects that we had to cope with was that it just was sort of too much of a demand. And so we actually had to write our own game engine to serve it up so that it could keep up with the rendering and all of the sounds that were playing and everything. So, and I say we, and I mean me and the agent. I didn't get any help from any other real person, which is ironic, right? Because my husband works in video games and my son is a coder. So they could have helped me, but they didn't, because family, they're like.
When you showed them what you were working on and prototypes of your game, what do they think? They're like, well, how did you do this?
Well, I mean, it's sort of hilarious because, like I say, my husband works on AAA games, has done for 30 years. So he's used to games taking 2 to 5 years and teams of 100 people and all the rest of it. So I think between my husband and my son, they were a bit sneaked. I don't think you've got that word in America, but a bit put out at the fact that I could make a game in a week. Because I would say that sort of the Gen Zers, my kids' age, are actually very kind of pure heart and virtuous, and they think using AI is cheating. And I'm a middle-aged woman, I don't care. I just think it's fun. I feel like I've been let loose in a toy shop since AI came out. I mean, I'm having the time of my life, and so I just don't have any of those kind of concerns about, did I do this the right way or whatever. I'm just like, no, I'm interested in getting the best result possible, and I don't mind how I get there. To me, it's all gravy. As long as the end result is fantastic, that's all I care about. So failing their purity tests a little bit.
I love your attitude about this.
Yeah, well, I think
I love your attitude about this. Like, I want to get my game, and if I have to build a custom game engine to do that, no problem. Me and Agent are gonna do that. Like, who would think like that? You're like, no, you can't do it. But you're like, no, I'm gonna build my own games engine for this.
well,
No problem.
I just, you just sort of see the finish, and you just keep pushing forward. And I'm damned if I'm going to be beaten. There's one thing I would say, if I've got any kind of superpower strength, is that I finish things. And I've been trying to tell my kids this for years. It's like, it's all great, but you have to finish things, because, in order to get it into the real world, into somebody's hands, that's what you're really trying to do. And so, yeah.
Absolutely, you got to finish things. Can you talk a little bit about when you first started using Replit? Because, as you said, you're not a programmer. You never coded anything before, and then tell me about how you found Replit and how you started using Replit and how that helped you out.
Well, as soon as I heard that they were going to put an agent into Replit, I was like, oh yes, okay, now I'm in. And I think I might have had an account for a month or two before that, but nothing, I hadn't really used it. But as soon as the agent came along, I was just like, I mean, I've not stopped since. I'm basically addicted. I think it's actually, slightly. I actually have to stop myself from coding things up, because I have like a flood of ideas all the time, and I have to kind of slow myself down a bit and go, maybe sit with that idea for a day or two before you actually hit the keyboard with it. But I run all my ideas through Claude first, and I get the whole idea kind of constructed nicely before I take it to Replit. I mean, you don't have to do that, but it tends to go better if you do, I find. But no, I absolutely love it. And the first things I built in Replit didn't work very well. The agent wasn't very good, but I knew, I could see very, very clearly that the AI was coming on so fast that if I left it for a week or a month, or maybe 6 months in some cases, I would be able to redo what I'd done poorly or hadn't worked, and it would then work beautifully. And that's what I'm finding, is you've got to see where the ball's going and aim higher than you can currently think you can achieve, because it can do it. And if you can't do it this week, you can probably do it next week. And as you know, Manny, like Replit are dropping updates every few days. It's crazy.
Absolutely. I think you saw that firsthand, because in your post for your app, you mentioned how like you had a problem with agent building something. Then we integrated Opus 4.6. This is Anthropic's latest model. It's supposed to be really good. And you saw agent like be able to solve that problem pretty easily after that update.
It was crazy, because it was before I'd seen it announced on X. I noticed, I was like, oh, this can suddenly solve this problem, and it couldn't half an hour ago. And so I was having to take it out of Replit and into ChatGPT 5.2 and things. I tried with Claude. Claude's usually great, but it wasn't really quite up to speed with the mobile and the AR. ChatGPT was doing a better job, but it was still not really. The thing about ChatGPT is that it forgets the context halfway through. So like, it can give you a genius answer, but then 2 minutes later, it's sort of forgotten what it said before. So whereas with the Replit agent, it's got that kind of context memory that keeps it on task and just more effective all round, really. But they were both models were struggling to fix this issue I was having with the targeting and the clinging to the sides of the screen. And then suddenly Claude like leveled up, and I was like, oh, that's clearly something's happened there. That's different. And then I went to X and saw the announcement. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So yeah, it was a real step change.
Yeah, you probably think like, well, that explains it. Yeah, and I'm continually surprised about how how good agent is getting. Like, I was just commenting to someone recently that I can't remember the last time I used a rollback on a build, which I used to use frequently. Like, agent would go off course, and I have to go roll back. But like it's probably been a month and I haven't used that. And I'm like, oh
I
my
did on
gosh,
this
it's just getting
project,
so
but
good.
that's because this project was super tricky. But I think only once, and then there was another time when I thought about rolling back, and then the agent assured me that it would be fine and we'll just push through it and we'll keep going, and it sorted it out. So, but yeah, I think the more complex thing you work on, probably the more likely you'll need to roll back at some point. But I agree with you. The frequency of using the rollback has dropped to almost zero. Yeah.
Yeah. Very neat. I'm going to bring Reimar on in just a moment to take some questions from the audience. But last question for you. How does it feel to have a tool like Replit in your toolkit now?
It blows my mind every day. I mean, like I say, it's a toy shop. It's like the best toy in the world. It's just fantastic. And it makes me feel like I've got superpowers, and it makes me feel like I'm unstoppable. And you know, and it allows me to kind of think bigger than I would ever dream otherwise. You know, and it's joyful. It's just joyful. Yeah.
That's wonderful to hear, and you can tell because I looked at your profile. You have like 20 apps already built and deployed. Yeah. You're a top 0.01% of all builders. You're a master builder. I think your LinkedIn certificate says so. In just that year, you've gone from like non-coder to like app builder.
It's kind of, I've impressed myself. I logged into that assessment thing again last night and found that I'd leveled up from level 4 to level 5. I was like, wow. I know, smashed it. But you know, it's putting in the hours, I think, more than anything, probably. But yeah, I've probably written over 50, maybe 70 apps, like a lot. I haven't necessarily published them all, but some of them I just don't publish. I just use for me, you know. I haven't shared with the world. I'm like, no, I'm going to take advantage of this, like, little advantage I've got, you know, not necessarily make it public, you know.
Well, you're also doing a great job of getting the word out on what you're building. That's how I came across your application. You put together a really nice video. I showed that earlier in our discussion, and you're posting about stuff, what you're building. You also put together a really nice article about the technical issues that you ran into and how you were able to solve them. So like, I don't think enough people do that. Like, can you talk a little bit about your mindset there? Like why it's so important for you to share what you're building like that?
Well, I mean, it's not something I do much actually, but you know, for this, I knew it would be a good thing. But I do think it's fascinating because, you know, we're into uncharted waters as far as I'm concerned, certainly in my life. And so it is interesting to see how badly it can be going wrong and still come right at the end, you know, because there were times where I thought, oh God, I'm not going to get this working. But, you know, it was doing a hard thing. And it was a huge feeling of success when I finally got it all working. It was like the best thrill in the world, really. Yeah. I finally get it with my coder, you know, relatives and my family. I finally get it now. Yeah.
Now, are you your son competing for who can deploy the most amount of applications? He's probably surprised by that, right?
I think they're slightly horrified, actually. But you know, there was I basically have an iPad and I carry it around with me everywhere, like it's basically surgically attached to me. And I do a lot of my coding on my iPad. Like I don't even necessarily use a desktop. Yeah. Because a lot of the graphical apps actually are more accessible on an iPad than they are on a desktop these days. But I'm on a PC, not a Mac, so I need to change to Mac, I think.
Yeah.
Right, man. Any questions from the chat?
Yeah, of course. They always want to know, how much did it cost? You know?
Oh God, and you can ask that, and I actually don't know, and I definitely don't want like my husband to know. No, I had already spent quite a lot that month before I started it, because I've been building apps like crazy. So I couldn't exactly tell you.
Yeah, Ruth goes hard. I remember, you know, like building, and you come every week to the hangouts with like something new. We used to do these like little build hour hangouts, and Ruth would always show up with like 2 or 3 things to like show off, and I was like, oh, she's going hard in the paint over here. So
Yeah,
It's cool to see your evolution. Yeah.
I almost can't stop myself. That's the real problem. There was a month when they were allowing you to use AI Studio for free, basically, just before Christmas, and I went hard with AI Studio. So I built quite a few apps in there, save them to GitHub, and then I bring them into Replit, because honestly, I don't find the deployment nearly as good on the Google AI Studio as I do on Replit. If I'm going to actually make the app available for use, then I'll always bring it into Replit. And equally, you guys had a few weeks where you were allowing, that fast agent for free for a few weeks, and I used the hell out of that. Don't think what it cost you guys, but I was getting to do all sorts of things it wasn't really designed to do, so I'm just making use of what's there to the full. Really.
Yeah, love that. People are also asking if you could dive a little bit into the stack a little. I know you explained a little bit of the tech you use to build the app. Can you share a little bit more about, did you do research outside of Replit? Did you do that all with the agent? Did you what specific libraries are you using in there? Is there anything you could insights you could share, or do you just ask the agent and the magic happened?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, let's be honest about this. I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
I really didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't know it was going to be this hard. So, which is good, really, because I just went for it. I used Three.js. We had to build almost all of kind of AR aspects of it bespoke, because we couldn't use AR kit. So it's kind of projecting onto a 3D sphere around the player. And then, it's very complex. It's like using tan and azimuth and lots of words that I don't think I knew before I started. Field of view, and there's a lot of React state batching, and I'm looking at my notes here. But there's a lot of really technical mathsy type of stuff that I couldn't have done in a million years.
So just help us understand then, how did you work through that? Did you talk through the agent with that? Did you run into some brick walls at some point? I mean, how much troubleshooting did you have to do with this? Because I think that's where, you talked about getting it over the finish line. I saw some comments in here. People are talking about I have a bunch of apps, but only to 80%, and so talk a little bit about, that troubleshooting your process, kind of getting it across that finish line.
I mean, I found this myself. It's that last 20% that you think will take 20% of the time actually usually takes half the time. So it is that either getting the payment system in, or in my case, it was trying to get it from the dev app and the production version of the app both working as well as each other. That was the real, the real hurdle I had to get across, because they're so different and they work so differently. And I think it's minifying the code or something, so it's taking all the space out of the code. And then the phone itself is running a lot faster than the dev app. And so you're facing constantly problems that you didn't know you were going to have and really couldn't have prepared yourself for. So I think it's just being in a slightly flow state and rolling with it and not getting too stressed. And like I say, I wasn't above taking the problem outside to ChatGPT or Claude if I thought I was really, really stuck, which I did. But then in the end, it was the Replit agent that solved it in the end.
Yeah. Ruth, can I ask?
Also, I posted the art. Ruth, you put together a really good article on this on X and on LinkedIn. I posted that in the chat for everybody too to check out.
Ruth, I was going to ask, have you played with, on your journey to where you are, have you played with some of the other platforms, and you stuck on Replit for can you talk a little bit about your journey as a vibe coder, your experiment with other platforms, and kind of why you keep coming back to just putting so much into the Replit world?
No, my pleasure, because I'm a huge Replit advocate, because it's so much better than the other platforms, and I have really tried most of them. I've got Claude Code installed. I use AI Studio. I do still use AI Studio here and there. What else? I've tried Lovable. I've tried a lot of them, basically, because I'm one of those people, I like to just try everything. Anything that's new, I'll try it. So I'm kind of a bit of an early adopter mindset. But you know, all the other platforms that I've tried are deficient in some way or other. Like they haven't.
Let's list them all out. No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, but I mean, no, I know, but I mean, like, it's a problem because, you know, if you want a database and you want to be able to deploy it and you want what do you call it, an S3 bucket or whatever to store your images and all those things, Replit has got them all built in. And in the beginning, I was writing apps and I was trying to go out and set up Google Earth. That was a nightmare that I never got working. Now I'm using the Replit version of that. And I was just having to go out and go to all the different services individually and set up accounts and try and set up the service manually. And it's a nightmare. And it takes ages. The first project that I kind of got really published in was Startup Scout, and I put Stripe into it and everything, so it does actually all work. Fingers crossed, touch wood. But building the app maybe took me 2 weeks, but putting Stripe into it took me best part of a month, like, because I didn't know what I was doing, and trying to find all the edge cases and stuff to get the payment flow working it was really hard. I don't think it's really hard anymore now that it's built in, but it was really hard. And but you know, I've learned so much. I'm so grateful to Replit because I just wouldn't have bothered if it wasn't this easy and wasn't so supported. I wouldn't have got half the things made that or any of them probably. So I love the fact that Replit are constantly innovating. They're constantly thinking, right, what would the user really love next? What would they really, what's missing? What's lacking? What can we improve? And they just drop it like almost before you've even thought of it. Like yesterday, I've got a client project I'm working on, and I really need her to be able to go into the website I've made for her and leave her comments on what she wants changed. And you just like literally just dropped that yesterday, right? It was something I toggle on in the publishing page, I think, that allows her to click on a link in the bottom right and add her comments to the page, and then I can use those and feed them to the agent. You know, they're just there. And so I hadn't even thought about needing that until yesterday, and I thought, oh, hang on, yes, I actually do really need that, because she was going to go and write on a pad of A4 and I don't know, snail mail it to me or something terrible like that. So yeah, they're like your mind readers over there.
Yeah. Listen, this operation, like getting a little glimpse into watching like Replit work and seeing how they build the product and at the speed that they move, like the product is really leading the innovation at this company. I think a lot of the other players in the space are kind of buying market share with, like good advertising, subsidizing the usage of it. And Replit's really relying on the product itself to kind of lead that charge. And it's really cool to see, like you said, they're kind of predicting where this stuff is heading. They're building tools anticipating your needs as like non-developers, right? We're not going to say non-technical because like lots of people are very technical that work with Replit, but they're non-native developers, right? We're not like your traditional, we didn't learn all the languages from scratch. We're just tinkering a little bit. We're poking at the edges here and kind of innovating a whole new industry that is this vibe code thing, but also trying to figure out how do you break that into like production level stuff. What I find interesting with you, Ruth, is that like you're kind of just throwing a bunch of different ideas at stuff and kind of tinkering, building tools for yourself. What's been your favorite thing? Like, what's your favorite thing you've built? A tool you've built for yourself? A thing you've released? Is it this game? Is like, what's your? Well,
the thing I'm using the most at the minute is I've built something called Brandcaster. And what it does, Brandcaster is, the name might change, but the idea is that you put in your website address, you put in screenshots of the page, because sometimes it's hard for it to go and actually view the page properly. Like sometimes because it's programmatic, it's difficult for it to kind of pull it down. And some text about it, and maybe the logo as well. And then it gives you a brand document back with all of the kind of key metrics about how it describes your brand and everything. And then it makes 5 images for you, different sizes, Instagram and X and LinkedIn kind of formatted with captions that you can immediately use to advertise with. And it does such a beautiful job. I mean, this is using Nano Banana Pro, which we know is fantastic, right? And but because it's pulling in the assets that you've attached and also going to your website and having a look at it and trying to glean the kind of essence of your brand and how to market it, it pulls it all together and produces these gorgeous assets. And I mean, that for small business owners is like a gift, because trying to get bespoke graphics made in a hurry that are decent quality is a really hard thing to do, or at least it used to be. So that's the thing that I probably use the most. I also made this thing called Mint Page that this is for making landing pages. So when you're just trying to find a direction for your web design, and you tell it sort of some things about the brand that you're making, and then it generates 3 Nano Banana images, like tall ones for the whole of the landing page, and then it codes them up and actually turns all the image assets that are within that image into actual image assets, and then you download it as a zip file. So it's basically, because the thing about designing web pages is Nano Banana will be a lot more creative than your average conversation with the AI. So you'll get much more kind of interesting, visually interesting ideas out of it. Turning that into an actual web page can be difficult, obviously. And I'm not saying it does it perfectly, far from it, but it's a heck of a starting point. And I've been using that a lot to make a quick start. Every time I make a new app, I think, oh, how am I going to brand this? I go into Mint Page, iterate some ideas, and instantly I've got a starting point for my next,
People want the tool, Ruth. You got to give the people what they want.
Yeah, I've
got you got to get that one over the finish line. People are saying,
I know. I've got loads like that. Yeah. Another one called Synthesizer that makes product images and stuff. So I'm actually thinking about maybe making like an app that ties them all together, so they're all available in one app.
Yeah.
That's so neat. So you're building tools to make your life easier as a designer, and you see people are like, hey, I want to use this tool. So you might also productize those tools as well and share that with other folks, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's so, I'm making it as fast as I can is all I can say. But in the meantime, I'm using them for my own projects, so I know they're good because I'm built it into Replit. What's it called? The thing that makes the videos. It's not Framer. What's the recent one? Remotion?
Remotion, I think. Is it Remotion?
And again, I just built an app in Replit that does that. So, but it's using the Replit agent. So this is another thing about Replit that I find is I use Replit as a productivity tool, not always to build an app, sometimes to make assets or just sort of think something through. So it's the Replit interface is just an amazing interface into an LLM that can kind of do everything, because now it can create images as well and everything. It's so flexible and so useful.
Yeah,
it's becoming more general purpose, I think. What you're describing.
Yeah, and you're giving folks a glimpse. I do the same thing all the time. Like when things come up, I'm like, I wonder if Replit can handle this. Literally, in different situations, people are talking about different things, and I'm like, oh, yeah, give me the data. Like we'll throw it into Replit and see what comes out. And it's maybe not always the right solution. It's maybe not always the best way, but for $1 or $2, a couple bucks to experiment with something, and then maybe you get surprised. We've talked about presentations, animated different things on the screen, like obviously web and mobile apps, browser extensions. Like it's just really becoming.
Yeah, I've made browser extensions too. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
it's really good for all of those things.
It is really just becoming such a powerful, like a creative powerhouse. Yeah.
Jeff says here, one app to rule them all.
Oh yeah. I just got to come up with a good name for it.
We need like this is Sparta, but it's Replit instead. You know, like.
Well, I think you're such a great example, Ruth, because you're a non-developer. You have the skill set around design. You're building your own custom tools. You're showing people how to get the word out on those tools, and I'm sure pretty soon you're going to have these tools for people to buy and purchase and use as well. So I think it's sort of it's emblematic of what's happening right now in the vibe coding age, that folks that have deep domain expertise in a particular field now have a tool like Replit Agent to help bring those ideas to life, make their life easier. And because they have that deep domain expertise in that space, they can guide Agent to what they want. And they can also use it like they're the first customer for those different apps. And chances are that if it works for you, it's helpful for you, there's going to be a lot of other people out there that might find it helpful, might be willing to pay you money for it.
Yeah.
It's the perfect example of where this vibe code thing is actually being useful. You know, like you see people kind of spinning up all sorts of stuff. And you know what? Maybe not everything you built, Ruth, is going to be like, you know, the next big thing, right?
I do go and delete stuff quite often. Yeah.
But as you find your way, you're learning new skills, you're pushing boundaries. Other people are seeing you do this stuff. Who knows who reaches out and says, can you do some of that for me? Or we want to buy the app, or we want to like have you build whatever, right? Like it's just, you're increasing your surface area with this new creative tool that's like putting you in places to do things that a year ago you probably didn't even think you'd be doing, you know? And so I think that's like really, that's the you know, the overarching story that people should take away here. I have a couple just final thoughts from folks in the crowd for you, Ruth. Talk a little bit about your video that you created, because people like really like that. So maybe just talk about your marketing stack, your video stack. You talked a little bit about the tool you're building, but can you just talk a little bit about your process for some of the promotional stuff you did with the video?
Yeah, well, so I made some actual videos that was in Gemini VO, and they're just cute videos that sort of show what's happening in the app, as it were. That I made, that was a kind of a background for the website. This is a VO video. It's the wrong aspect ratio, so I'll put it in this frame. This is actually just in-game video, where, you know, that happens in the story mode, just to tell you the story. This is in-game video. I mean, really, I just recorded all these things, or found them, or made them, and put them together in CapCut, which I'm sure lots of people use. It's dead simple. Did it on my iPad. A lot of the things I do never leave my iPad, you know? So, and I find it actually a quicker workflow, honestly. Yeah, the way it's
and here, Ruth, how are you generating this video here, like the opening kind of trailer part?
Again, this is just Gemini, but what I'm doing is I'm feeding in the graphics that I've already created, because the nice thing about Nano Banana Pro is that you can feed it like, I don't know, it's up to like 8 images or something. It's a big number of images as inputs, and say, include these in the output. And so you can build really quite bespoke videos if you've already got some assets available to feed it.
Gotcha. So you drop in screenshots and you say, like, build me a video with like these screenshots as inspiration. You describe it like a kid playing with the game, the ghosts are coming to life, etc. And then it gives you the video.
Gemini VO 3 is very clever. You don't have to tell it much, honestly. Like, you know, I mean, because I'd made some assets with it already, and if you join the same conversation, sometimes it's picking up the context of what you've already said to it. So it kind of knows where you're going with it. But I mean, I'd made an image of me holding my phone and the ghosts outside of the phone in my own kitchen. And then so it kind of built on that and then turned it into a video.
Yeah. The video modules are coming so far as well. Like just as, you know, just the text models are doing their great thing, but the, you know, multimodal, all the video stuff is, it's just also bonkers to keep up with. So I think, this type of stuff, Ruth, like, again, bringing the skills together, bringing a little bit of design, a little bit of tech, a little bit of multimedia, compiling it all together. Maybe it's not the best app video that's ever been built, and maybe it's not the best game that's ever been built, but like to be able to do it all, without like going and spending 50 or 100 grand or hiring some big studio.
I did it in a week.
Right.
And that's the most amazing fact, I think, of all. It was done in a week. And the other thing I wanted to do when I was trying to decide what to build is I wanted to have something that didn't rely on anyone else's infrastructure, that wasn't making API calls to LLMs, because that can add up in costs pretty quickly. I was trying to build something that was really self-contained, that didn't rely on having a network effect already in place. This is just as much fun as for a single user as it is to play it in multiplayer mode. So you can and you don't log into this. There's no login. You just use it. It's on your phone. You're the one person holding your phone. You just use it, and it doesn't store, transmit, or ask for anything. It's not. The phone that's using the phone, and that's just for your pleasure. It's obviously nothing ever is being stored or transmitted at all. So it's very important to me as a user. I don't want to be asked for all my details. I don't want to have to sign up for something. I don't want to have to pay a monthly fee, and I definitely don't want to be spied on. So all those kind of criteria were like absolutely top of my list when I was deciding what to do. Because this is the stuff that annoys me, that like puts me off. I don't want another monthly subscription. And if you know what I mean, it has to be something really special for me to sign up for a monthly subscription now. So when I do put this on the App Store, I mean, I am planning on putting a paywall on it, but it'll just be a one-time, like, $4 or $5 payment, I think, just to unlock the kind of premium features.
All of this in 1 week, Ruth, that is just amazing. Can you talk a little bit about the Buildathon experience? How has that helped you ship this and do it this fast?
The deadline. It's perfect, isn't it? I mean, I wasn't getting an awful lot of sleep at some points in the last week because I was determined. And if I wasn't actually working on the game, I was dreaming about the game. And I actually got to the point, because I was testing it a lot, I was just starting to see ghosts out the corner of my eyes. I was just walking around my house. This isn't good. I need to put this down for a bit. But it was a sprint. So, you work hard for a few days and then it's done. And that's a joyful thing in itself, to be able to make something that's kind of self-contained, and once it's working properly, hopefully. I mean, obviously you have to maintain these things because packages change and updates happen and stuff, but outside of those things, it should just be finished at some point, which is what you want, right?
A little bit of accountability, a little bit of put your feet to the fire, a little bit of building with other people to get inspired and like push yourself a little harder. Hopefully other folks in the comments, let us know what have you had with your Buildathon experience? What's been your favorite part? What's been your favorite challenge, or your most difficult challenge in the building the mobile apps? I would like to hear from you all as you're watching this. Are you resonating with Ruth's story? Are you kind of like scrambling right now? You're like tinkering with your last prompts, trying to get everything ready for the last submission. I don't know. Let us know in the comments.
I love some of the apps I've seen, by the way. The showcase, the Discord, they've been some really nice ones.
Yeah, we're supposed to pull this up. Can we go to a screen share on my side, Mandy, by chance?
Yes. Let me see here. You want to bring Ruth along too, or should we let Ruth go?
Oh yeah, we could close up shop and then go into the last phase here if we want to transition over into the last segment.
Okay, awesome, very neat. Well, hey Ruth, it's a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for being such a great member of the community. As I mentioned at the top of the show, that you'll oftentimes see Ruth in the comments answering questions and part of our stream. So it's great to have you here on stage. And for me, the big takeaways for me is just like, have a problem that you're interested in, be tenacious, whatever it takes to get the job done. I love that message. Like, you just got to get it shipped. You got to finish it. Don't leave it at 80%. Just go and do it. And also, you're just a great example of getting the word out, like using different tools. You're using Gemini, you're using CapCut to cut, whatever it takes, you're getting the job done. So that's just such a great example. Thank you so much for that, Ruth. Any last thoughts you want to leave folks with? Also, let people know where they can connect with you.
Oh, well, I'm Ruth Heasman on X, which is the main place I hang out. Yeah, but I just enjoy it. Just play, right? This is the greatest time to be alive. I mean, it's a weird time to be alive, but it's also amazing. So I feel like I'm a big kid playing, and every day is an adventure lately. And I love Replit as well. As a company, I really feel aligned with the Replit, ideas and ideals and way of being, as it were. So more power to Replit. I think they're going to be amazing. They already are amazing, but just good things, I think, for Replit.
Awesome. And we'll drop links to your socials. Ruth, thank you so much. Again, can't wait to see you again soon.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Yeah.
Ruth.
The comments are coming in. We all have superpowers. Well done. Lots of kudos for Ruth. Yeah, shout out to Ruth. Yeah, shout out to Ruth for all of her good work. More feedback for the restream folks. The jerky comment loading in. Sometimes you click on the wrong thing in places. Man, you ever do that back there? Yeah. I'm like, I did it once today, and I'm like, oh no, I'm putting all the comments on the screen apparently, not just one. So it's anyway, the wonders of live production. But yeah, thanks for everyone for your chats and for hanging with us. It's super cool to see Ruth's story a little bit and learn about, what she's building and all the different things. And again, her approach, I think, to building, which is something you got to take away. She talked about the persistence, the perseverance, getting that 80%, getting that across the finish line, kind of becoming a troubleshooter. It's the stuff that we talk about over and over on this show, that a lot of this is just problem solving. It's having something you're passionate or excited about. Like Ruth, you could tell she's excited about just doing these things, playing with these tools, exploring new boundaries of her kind of technical skill set, of her creative skill set. And you heard right at the end, this is the greatest time to be alive. If you're a creator, if you're a tinker, if you're a builder, if you're a designer, if you're an idea person, if you're just any kind of explorer creatively, this is the moment where you could literally just do anything, make a movie, make videos, make apps. This is just a crazy moment to just explore. Please jump in with Replit, but find a tool and start pushing yourself to just I don't know, just make the moves, I guess, right? What are you thinking, Manny?
Yeah, I mean, I think also there is something to this approach of starting from a place of ignorance. I think Ruth mentioned it. She didn't know how hard it would be. She just had an idea and she just started building. I've actually heard that a couple of times, and I think that's an advantage that people that are new to tech actually have. They don't know what they don't know, and they don't know
naive,
what
right?
AI can do. Yeah, it really helps. We had somebody on the show a couple months back, somebody from the Replit team that had never built anything. And they gave this monster prompt to Replit agent and built out a really cool application. It was this AI sales coaching type of application. And had they come to me first and asked me about that app, I would be like, well, that's too ambitious, man. Don't even go there. He dropped it in there. Agent one-shot it, or there's a couple of turns and did a great job. It's amazing. And so I think that is the right approach to go into it. You don't know what agent is capable of until you try it, check it out. And she also mentioned this idea that agent is getting better all the time. So whenever a new model drops, the team here at Replit they're testing out that new model. They're thinking about how to integrate it into the Replit agent harness or the experience. And so even if agent had a hard time doing something just a week ago, there might be some updates where it can now fix it. She mentioned earlier, Opus 4.6 dropped, which is Anthropic's latest model. The team day one had that integrated into Replit agent, and then boom, now agent has a level up of skills and ability that you can notice. I actually noticed that too. I was building a couple of demos for a live stream that I was doing, with Snowflake. And like during, like I did the same demo like twice, like back-to-back days. And the second day I'm like, oh my gosh, like it just like agent completely like one shot of the thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? And then like, yeah, the team was playing around with the new model and an upgraded agent experience. So again, so like even like if agents having trouble with a particular build right now, like don't be surprised if that's gonna change in a couple of days or a week.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the two biggest model labs, OpenAI and Anthropic, both released models. Was it last week? They both released like back-to-back models. And within, minutes, that was already rolling out to all Replit users. And yeah, just again, the speed of this product, the speed of innovation happening in this space. Somebody, the comment is well gone now, but somebody was talking about, trying something today that they tried 3 months ago, and how, like much improved the product is. And I think it's going to continue on that pace for a little while, especially in the world of software development. We're seeing, I don't know, just leaps and bounds. You talked about, Manny, like the not having to roll back as much, not having to go back and forth with the agent. Again, these models are just getting super powerful, and then the way Replit orchestrates all of that to make your process easier for building like real functional stuff without having to worry about a lot of that underlying web tech.
There's a couple of things. Like one is, as Ruth mentioned, Replit is helping you deal with all these services that you need to get an application into production. So like there's one thing of getting something in a development environment where you can click around, it's interesting. But then when you try to ship that, you need payments, you need a database, you need authentication, you need a integration into other applications like Notion or Dropbox, Google, what have you. So you'd have to go out and build that manually. Replit makes it easy to do that. So Replit is trying to offset that, so you don't have to worry about that. You just worry about building your own application. People love Replit for that. But the other reason why people love Replit goes back to this earlier point around Replit being really quick to integrate the best models into Replit agent, so that you don't have to worry about this. So you probably know like AI people, or like people that are really into this stuff, that have to constantly run and go test out all the latest models, see what they're doing, and then try to build that in manually into the process. And they're having to switch to Codex and then to
or try to pick which model's the
Gemini.
right for the specific task they're doing. Like
Exactly. Like Ruth saying, like she's using Gemini for video. Like you might have other models for audio. Like, okay, I mean, that's a lot of effort that you have to put in to try to use all those models. Whereas the team here at Replit, they're doing all of that heavy lifting, and they're integrating that into Agent, so that when you ask Agent to build out an audio powered or a voice powered assistant, Agent automatically knows which model to build out and to use into how to integrate into your application, so that you get to your application faster. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. So I think for a lot of people, it just like streamlines this whole like research part that you have to do to get AI into your application as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think this is a great comment here. I had this up just a second ago, but Angelina saying that one thing the hackathon reminded me is that clarity comes with action. There were so many gotchas getting set up with Apple, but just jumping in and taking each problem as it comes, creating momentum. I think this is one of the things that happens a lot of time with technical projects or some of these things that feel complicated. It's like if you spend a lot of time waiting to clean your house, and then all of a sudden you look out and you're like, oh, this is so much work. Versus if you just, pick up one thing, pick up the next thing. Next thing you know, you're like, the house is going to be clean. And so the same kind of thing when you're approaching your apps here. If you think about like all the things you have to do in the process of getting this app published at once, it may seem super intimidating, which is why you're like, I'm not going to do that. But if you just get going, if you just start tinkering, and then you're like, oh, what's the next hurdle? What's the next hurdle? What's the next hurdle? You start overcoming these hurdles. Next thing you know, you look back and you've like climbed the mountain. Like you've already done the thing. The room's clean, right? Like you're ready to take the next step. And I think that's a really good point here, Angelina, is that like action almost always solves your problem, right? Like almost any time where you're stuck in life, this is just general, this is not even vibe coding, just start taking some action, and that will give you some feedback to, is it the right action, the wrong action? Okay, pivot, move. You've heard this thing, if you've done anything in the development world, like of a pivot, right? Or if you're familiar with startups, there's always this idea of like, I have to change course or change directions, or I have to like adjust something on the fly. Working with AI tools, working with like this kind of quick production process is like super powerful, because you don't have this long dev cycle. You don't have to wait 3 weeks to go back and forth with your developers and do design work and do all this other stuff. You can just kind of like get moving. And sometimes that's how you reveal yeah, like that's how you really get moved. That's how you get progress, right? Like that's how you make real progress on real things.
Totally here. Going back to our previous conversation, right? I hear Chris saying that you don't need 800 API keys now to do stuff. You just say, "Hey, agent, I need you to do this, and here are the requirements." And agent's gonna figure out, like, "Okay, I need Gemini for
Yeah.
this. I need OpenAI, this model for this." And even for each of the providers, you have like 10 different models you can choose from. So, like, if you go to OpenAI and you look at their model list, there are like 10 there. Like,
Yep.
which one are you gonna use? And agent just handles all that for you. I mean, I think you just care about your app and get into your app as soon as possible, not like these underlying models and what's happening under the hood.
Yeah, 100%. And just again, don't be afraid to experiment. Don't get locked into. The connectors make things easier, but if there's something out there where you're like, I wish this worked, and they have an API, just give it a shot. Like try it. Like go to the site, create an app, a developer account. Usually, like any of these platforms that have an app, Replit, please clean my house. I know. I wish it would do the drudge stuff for us, right?
Wait a minute, though. I was at a hackathon in San Francisco, and somebody was building with Replit a UI layer to program robots. So like these robots, like they have like these low level programming languages, and there's really tough, like C++ or whatever, or Rust. And so he was building a layer to make that easier to program. So you might be able to get agent to program a robot for you to actually clean your house. So Matt,
I'm dying to tinker with something real in the real space. Like I'm dying to like figure out. So I don't know if I got to get like a Raspberry Pi. I almost just said an apple pie. I need to go get an apple pie and plug it into Replit. Clip that. No, but I had somebody over here and we were playing with like projection mapping, and then realized like it's just not going to work with the video and what we were trying to do. And it's like I'm trying to do something fun with like Replit in the real world. I don't know what that is yet, but I'm my eye is open for those types of things.
Can we all give a big round of applause to Reimar for all the work that he's been doing on this Buildathon? Man, just a Herculean effort on Reimar's part. And someone here asking here, like, will there be more Buildathons? I think so. You let us know. Like, was this Buildathon helpful? What did you like about it? And you let us know if we should have more Buildathons, because this is like a really cool project.
Yeah, listen, if it's up to me, we're going to be building a thon all the time. Right? Like, I think, yeah, I literally like, I'm building so much. It's like, why not? You just be live. You have the, like Replit news in the background. You got Reimar Manny chiming in. We'll bring you some, like special guests every so often. Meanwhile, the agent's fast at work in the background. Like we'll have some dashboard showing how much money we're making or not, how much we're spending on credits or not. Like, I gotta know, make a fun game out of just like doing this thing regularly. And bring this community to life. So build-a-thons, build-alongs, co-builds, like hack, like all sorts of stuff. Imagine we're gonna like really dig into this stuff. This has been a lot of fun. You all have been great, by the way. It's very like, so we fought internally because you all asked. Like we fought internally to push into a Discord. Discord was not something that like we were really excited about because it can get crazy, right? Like you can open up some of these online communities and people like turn really toxic. And so it's like a real concern to think about, like, how do you open these things up? How do you make it, like fun for the community, but also keep it like on target, in line? And you guys have all been great, so it really, as a testament to this community, the Discord server, the engagement, just kind of all of the participation has been super cool. And so, yeah, as much effort as we put in, you all have also been great. And yeah, I saw you just popped Chris up there. Chris has been super helpful. The folks in the community have been helping each other all over the place. Like, it's just cool to watch. This is my favorite part of like doing community work, is seeing the things come together and people kind of like start lifting each other up. And I think we've got something special brewing in the space here. There's like a lot of tapped into creativity. Like there's a lot of raw creative energy in this community. And so like, how do we harness that? Help us figure out how do we like, really tap into that. So yeah, keep the ideas coming and keep the energy coming. We'll keep doing our side. You keep doing your side,
Sunnyverse here saying that he had a lot of fun, the most fun he's had in a long time. And I think if you're doing it right, like to Ruth's point, like this is so much fun, like especially if you were unable to build things previously because you didn't have a technical background, like the ability to get ideas from like your brain into an actual application, to be able to share that with people, like that is a superpower. That's amazing. And I think I appreciate this quite a bit because I come from a data science background, And so I spent a lot of time developing models and analytics, and I would have like this great model, and then if I wanted to share that with someone, is a little bit of a hard sell, because I would sell them like a formula or a spreadsheet or something that was really bland. And so I always wanted to be able to build a UI on top of that. So if I'm building models to detect when things are going to break on a locomotive, I would love to have like a locomotive UI that shows them what's breaking, the alerts, and to like be able to assign different alerts to different people. And I wasn't able to do that until Replit came along. Now I feel very comfortable. Like I'd be able to do everything, like the models, to the UI, to the back end, to the project management. Like there's so much more value that I can create now for folks. And so I think, for me, like this is just like a game changer.
Yeah, that's why I talk about that creative pent up energy, right? I think we're seeing this backlog of creative energy that's been like suppressed in most people that have a little bit of experience and technical background, but they've kind of just been watching from the outside as all this software's been built, and there's an app for that, and the mobile app revolution and the web app. Everything's getting so powerful, but then you as an idea person, or Manny as like a data person, or like, like you're in the weeds a little bit, and like, oh, I wish it could just work like this. And then somebody builds a tool and it's like, it's close, but it's not what I want exactly. And now all that creative energy can just kind of be exposed, and you can go build the tool you want. Like Ruth said, you could build your own back end for marketing. You could build your own games. You could build your own systems for however you want. And so like, I think we really are at the beginning of like a creative renaissance. I know a lot of people are like AI doomsayers, and they think like the jobs are disappearing, blah, blah, whatever, but I think the opposite. I'm going to keep harping on this. Like we are at the beginning of a creative renaissance like we've never seen. And I think if you have a little bit of agency, a little bit of taste, a little bit of, like, especially if you're a generalist, we're about to enter the age of the generalist, like if you just have multiple skills that you can bring together now in ways that other people just don't see the world, there's so much opportunity in front of you right now. Just tap into that.
And there's going to be a little bit of courage involved here. Jeff here is saying that he doesn't like going on socials. He doesn't like putting himself out there, but he recognizes that it's necessary. And it's going to be tough. Like now that you can build stuff, like you still have to figure out how to solve issues as they come along. Ruth is a great example of that. She jumped into it, and then she had to figure out all this crazy technical stuff, and then also like the video stuff. But, for you, it might be on the marketing side in terms of pitching your idea to people or putting yourself out there on socials and figuring that out. So there's going to be other ways, to grow as well. And I think you just got to stay focused and continue to lean into that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Some of you are asking, are the lives going to continue? These lives in social groups, what sets Replit apart? That's great feedback. We appreciate that. Somebody asked before, will the lives continue? The lives are going to continue for sure, and expect us to double down on this stuff. If anything, this Buildathon has kind of showed us that there's a hungry audience for not just real-time engagement, but like the deeper builder sessions and the spotlights, and how can we get more of this stage to elevate folks from the community and to show off the different projects that are being built. And so a lot of this was just like a small-scale experiment for us in the community to figure out how do we tap into, again, this creative energy, shine some of the light on you all as builders, and really figure out, again, how to tap into this community and elevate some of that. So kudos to you all. Again, if we don't get to your comment or thoughts here in the stream, just let us know. I'm sorry, just know that we're seeing it, right? Like all this is coming in, and we're taking all your feedback in, good or bad, indifferent. It really does help us shape what we're doing and building. So keep it coming.
Non is Design Studio says that he or she is an introvert, hates socials, but Replit is bringing out that side of him. Yeah, that's great. I wonder if that's like, if he's in the Buildathon, he's in Discord, so you get to chat with people. I mean, it's nice to have that Discord too, where you can go and just chat about Replit, and that be kind of a stepping stone into being more public. So yeah. I think that's a really nice thing about the Discord, which we're thinking about continuing. Let us know if you want us to continue that Discord even after the Buildathon ends.
Yeah. Can we do this without using Discord? Yes, you absolutely can. You're doing it right now. So like most of the stuff that we do will come out to YouTube, and we'll stream some of that. We may even end up streaming some of the stuff that happens inside of Discord. We'll see how that plays out. Depends on like the programming or the type of stuff. But we also want to have stuff that's not publicly broadcast and just more kind of experimental and more playground style, or more open for just tinkering and trying new things. And so we'll have a blend of that. And so, yeah, you'll be able to participate on YouTube. You'll be able to show up for different aspects of that. We'll do some in-person things along the way in different places. And Discord will just be another layer on top of that. So you can participate on socials if you want. You can participate on YouTube if you want. You can go as deep or as little as you want. And I think honestly, the Discord Buildathon and submissions we've seen is just the icing on the tip of the iceberg, right? Like, if you think that what you've seen is like what's coming for the submissions, I guarantee you somebody is quietly tinkering in the background, building a monster that you can't even imagine that's going to be part of this, that we're going to see over the next week as we review these submissions.
Somebody's asking if there is a tip jar. I think the best thing you can do for me and Rymar is just tell your friends about Replit. We have a really generous freemium plan now, a starter plan. Just send them a link. Actually, also you
can get credits if you send your affiliate link. Like, send your internal link to like.
This is a great point, Rymar. If you go to your accounts setting area, there's like an area to get your affiliate link. Just copy paste that and share that with your friends. And then if they upgrade to a paid plan, you'll get, I think, $10 in credits or something like that. But nevertheless, I mean, the best thing you can do for us is just tell people about Replit. Just introduce them to Replit. In fact, Adquina, who was on here last week, she told me that she heard about Replit from a friend, Emmanuel. I don't know if you're out there. Shout out to Emmanuel Perez, I think. And he introduced Adquina to Replit. And now Adquina was on her show, and she's building some amazing things. So you don't know whose life you're going to change by introducing them to Replit. So I think that's the best thing you can do for us is just go out and tell people about Replit.
Yeah, 100%. One of the reasons I do community work and got started doing a lot of this stuff is because I learned in 2012 WordPress how to build websites, which led to learning, then creating an agency, and then learning in Webflow, and then getting into the no-code space, which led to automations, which then led to Replit and led to all of this. And so like, it's completely changed my career trajectory, learning how to build things on the internet. And so one of the coolest things you could do for anybody in this space, whether it's somebody who's thinking about what they do in college, whether it's somebody who's like thinking about changing careers, whether it's somebody who's just like kind of wondering or scared about all this AI stuff that they keep hearing about, show them the tools. When you start learning and seeing the potential and seeing how this stuff works, one of the real values of these streams and like what we're doing here is that we're showing you in real time. Like, this isn't some crazy science thing. Like, we're just talking to this thing, and you just learn how to talk to this thing, and you get these end results that like can really power you up in life. And so we'll never stop stressing that as much as we can, that has the opportunity to change your life and the lives of the people that are around you, et cetera. Yeah.
I think vibe coding is going to be the essential skill for the next 3 years. Communicating with AI to direct it to get it to do stuff that you find valuable and is necessary. Like, I can't imagine another skill more important than that. So I almost want to say that if you have like a LinkedIn certification from us that says you're a master builder, that's probably more valuable than a 4-year college degree. Even from a top university. I think that sends higher signal in terms of what you can bring to the table to an employer. So I think it's going to be essential. I know I have a lot of friends that are putting their kids on Replit, that because it's so easy to get started. Just go out and build whatever you care about, build whatever you and your friends want to build or are interested in, and go on and do it. It's going to be such an important skill for everybody to have.
Yeah. Well, and just being a creative tinkerer, like, Replit is a very powerful tool. And we're in the age of tools, and it's easy to be inundated with all these different new tools and things and Claude bots and Multibooks and different, like whatever, right? And there's all sorts of lingo that's coming out now. Like, I see this social post where it's like, the different generations are speaking their own languages now. And so we all kind of have to figure out how to like plug into this new thing that's evolving all around us. And part of that means being creative, being open to exploration, being open to like, again, being a problem solver or pushing the boundaries of your current skill set. But again, I won't stop harping on in one of the greatest times to be a creative person.
Totally. And Brad, I think you're asking if this replay is going to be available. Yes, all of our live sessions are recorded and they're available on our YouTube channel. Just head over to live. So yeah, always. Yeah, somebody just saying that Replit. No, I like this comment from Angelina. Yeah. Angelina says that her referrals have paid for so much of her credits. Yeah, absolutely. Like as you start like sharing that referral, like you're gonna get like $10 here, $10 there. Like that goes a long way on Replit. Like hats up to you, Angelina.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's see. 8-year-old nephew's playing with Replit. Will Replit ever IPO? Probably. I don't know. You know, I can't imagine, you know, where this is all headed. None of us can kind of predict the future, but yeah, I mean, that's the goal, I think, for all these companies when you get to a certain scale is to reach a certain level where you're having that type of impact that it makes sense to do those types of things. So.
Very neat.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, are we close? Let's see, we're 120. I think we're probably at a good wind down moment here, you know, with the folks. Unless you guys start lighting up the chat, you know, we'll probably start winding it down from here, huh?
Yeah. Any closing thoughts, Raimar? I mean, for everybody, just like hunker down and get your application in. Doesn't have to be perfect, but again, to Ruth's point, you just got to finish something and submit it. Like that's winning. So just, you know, hunker down, get that in. And then I also say like, yeah, continue to share on socials. When you post something, tag me, tag Raimar, tag Francisco, tag Replit. Love to see that. Like I wake up in the morning and I got like 10 different alerts of all this cool. It is the best way to start my day, honestly. Like I get my cup of coffee, I go onto my socials, I see like me getting tagged on some amazing builds, and I just love that. So yeah, please continue to share and continue to tag me and the team.
Yeah, 100%. You've got 12, 13 and a half hours, I think, if I'm doing my calculations right now, 13 hours and 40-ish minutes, 50-ish minutes, whatever. Yeah, 40 minutes. So yeah, get your submissions in. Remember, that means the test flight link. That means public, what's the word I'm looking for? External testing in test flight. That means the mobile Buildathon fully submitted. Remember, we have the $50 social incentive. If you are in the Discord, in the announcements channel, there's a link for you to go and learn about how to get that, some inspiration posts you can look at for other things folks have shared. And then there's a claim form there that allows you to log in with Replit. It'll take us, 7 to 10 days usually to process those claims. So bear with us. That won't be like an immediate thing that'll show up in your account, but over the next couple weeks, those credits will show up in your account if you meet the criteria and we approve your post. In that dashboard, it'll tell you everything you need to know about what your claim, where the status is. If it's approved or rejected, you'll kind of see some notes in there. And we're excited to see what you all build. This has been a fun experience for all of us. I'm learning along the way. I think Manny's learning along the way. I think this has been some of the fun stuff is that we're all kind of learning as we go. Let's see how and where to see some of the amazing builds. We'll showcase some of the top candidates. I'm not sure there is a whole internal team that's kind of taking over the judging and different things, just to make sure we're not biased and that we're not influencing the voting and the scoring. Wink, wink. You find me on PayPal no, I'm kidding. So yeah, we're trying to make this like legit. So there's a different set of folks that are going to be doing a lot of the judging and a lot of the voting, but those folks are on X. Those folks are, maybe lurking in the Discord. Those folks have been maybe watching these streams and seeing who's engaging and paying attention and kind of participating with us. And so, yeah, there's all sorts of ways for you to get a little extra advantage. But this has been a lot of fun. Thanks, everyone, for hanging with us for these Buildathons. And, yeah, I think that's the final thoughts I got.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. See you in the Discord.